Hello everyone and welcome to another MechLord video. This time I am playing Tri-Brigade with the new skill Tri-Brigade Trigger, which must have triggered a lot of people if I take into account the reactions to the video that I posted yesterday that was clearly meant to be comedic. There's the funny Seinfeld music that was a joke, and for some reason people thought I was complaining about this skill existing when all I was doing was pointing out that a couple of months ago I made a video talking about a skill that was designed without taking into account cards like Dimension Distortion that can be activated for free if you have the duel starting with a bunch of banished cards, only for Konami to release yet another skill that starts the duel with a bunch of banished cards, allowing you to play cards like Dimension Distortion and Chaos Grid once again. I thought this was a bit funny and showcasing a bit of Konami's lack of foresight and insight. They don't really seem to learn from the stuff that they've done in the past. Does that mean I think the skill is OP? No, I think the skill is strong in the sense that every skill that was created after 2024 is strong. I think any deck that released in the past 2 years could easily clap like tier 0 Onomats, and that was like the most broken skill of all time back then, you know? But I don't think this skill is particularly game-breaking. It does have the potential to have an impact on the metagame, because you do get to play Tri-Brigade with better cards than before, which is always a plus. And it also opens the way for other Tri-Brigade builds that I will also showcase in this video. So, for the time being, this is a classic Tri-Brigade list, sort of-ish. This is taken straight from D1's top 4 list that he topped. That's what a top is. He topped a tournament with it. With a couple of key differences. I'm only putting one Saurus. I got this one for free. That's okay. Only 2 droplets because I only have 2. I'm not playing Alpha Master of Beast because I don't have it. And the goal of this deck is basically to turn 1 go into the Salavalon Dryon Tree into a Salavalon Bloom, and the follow-up turns use the Big Trees effect to wipe the board clean and go for lethal. There are other builds of the deck which tend to play more copies of Tri-Brigade Revolt, which is pretty much always live now, so even if you go first and all you do is set it, because of the scale, you're pretty much sure that you're going to be able to summon a Shrek on your opponent's turn, so there's a valid argument towards running this card at 3. And there's also a build that eschews all of the Tri-Brigade cards and only plays Dogmatika engine and a bunch of control cards, which I think is interesting. I don't think any of these decks are like particularly game-breaking, and I do commend the people who came up with these lists for, well, coming up with these lists. But for now, I'm going to play this version of Tri-Brigades. Is it the best one? Is it better than just playing 3 Revolts and no Big Tree? I don't know, I don't have that kind of game knowledge in me. Dex is pretty fun. That's Tri-Brigade, it's always a fun deck. I don't think I've ever featured Tri-Brigade on this channel before, even though I made a guide on the deck. I think this is my first time recording footage of me playing it. So here we go. This first replay is going to be against Tachyon. It's always funny. I love Flat for this reason. This is the only rank in which you see such a diverse array of decks that might or might not even make it to Legend. But Tachyon, wow, it's been a while, right? The deck that defined early 2024. And this is where we're at now. Anyway, this set is not great. You know, we opened both of our bricks that we want to search throughout the course of a combo, and pretty much no Tri-Brigade names other than exactly Nerval, but Nerval is enough because we can link it away into a Linkariba, which will trigger the Nerval effect in order to allow us to search a kit. From this point, we can activate the skill, which allows us to pitch the kit to get a Fractal and summon the Fractal for basically, we're going to try to activate the Fractal effect, but my opponent doesn't affect Vela, which is unfortunate, because that means this is basically my board. I'm going to, you know, use the Fractal effect just to get it off the field. I want to have as many zones as possible in order to get the best possible Revolt into a Shrek that will summon another Shrek, basically. So, Linkariba pass. Not the greatest ball, but pretty good enough to win. My opponent is going to MST. Unfortunately for them, they go for the Forbidden Droplet, which is not the card that is most important to our combo. They are going to activate the skill, play a Schwarzschild Dragon, get a Parsec, activate the Nebula Dragon to summon the parsec, which means that they are now dragon locked. They have to summon dragon monsters only, and they're immediately going to go into the Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. At this point, it pretty much comes down to either they have the Omni in hand or they don't. Either I win the game right now by activating Revolt, or I lose the game because they have the Omni in hand anyway. So I'm just gonna flip that Revolt, and the Revolt is going to summon a Shreg, a Ferrigit, and a Rugol in order to link them all together using a Rugol as 2, not Ferrigit as 2 material, into another copy of Tri-Brigade Shreg. The first Shreg is going to let us search a monster that is up to level 3, and then the Ferrigit is going to allow us to cycle card. Rugol is going to lower the attack, it doesn't really matter. And the Shreg on the field is going to banish the Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Turns out they did not have the Omni, which is great, because now they can even search it with their skill, because now they have the Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. I'm going to pitch the kit in order to summon the Karas. The Shreg is going to banish the set, which turned out to be a Book of Eclipse, and from this point forward, it's basically just have lethal. Why does my opponent can't really do anything? Their board is like one sword-type dragon, can even use the double dragon to return it to their hands, where it will sit and watch as my opponent loses this game. Not the most impressive replay out there, but it does tend to showcase the strength of Tri-Brigade, which is that Shreg is one of the boss monsters of all time. This second replay is going to be against Speedroid, and will showcase a better version of the turn 1 combo that tends to happen when you don't draw all of your bricks, which fortunately doesn't happen every game. Mostly. So, skill is going to trigger banishing all 4 monsters, and this time we did open the Dimensional Distortion, which means we are going to be able to revive the Shreg immediately. Why do we revive the Shreg? It is so that we can use it as a combo piece, which is also something that you did with Tri-Brigade in the TCG. You play 2 Shreg, 1 to use as a combo piece, and the other to summon with the Revolt to banish your opponent's stuff, because Shreg searching a card is pretty good, and since you already start with up to 3 Tri-Brigade negated, other than the banished rather, other than the Shreg, you get to search a wide variety of monsters. I'm going to search a DD Crow, because I figure DD Crow is pretty good against Speedroid. I'm going to send a Nerval over the kit. Nerval is going to get me the Fractal. Jesus Christ, it's been so long since I've actually pronounced this card's name. I'm going to summon the Bear Brub. I realized that the combo isn't optimal because I kind of messed it up. But this is enough for me to summon the Sunavalon Big Tree, which is going to allow me to search for the Revolt, for the Bloom, and to cycle for a card. I'm thinking maybe there's a card that I want more in my hand, and my opponent is going to give up on this stage, because they do realize that they can't really do anything on this board. But the idea is you end with a board of Sunavalon Bloom, you search the Revolt, which you also set, and then you have any amount of tech cards, probably not going to keep the Sorovis in order to prevent your opponent from playing the game further. Well, also there's a DD Crow. DD Crow is pretty good. And last but not least for today's video, this is going to be a mirror match. We are both going to play Tri-Brigade. Sort of. You're gonna see. So, I can see that my opponent is on the Tri-Brigade trigger scale. So am I. All's good at the moment. We're just gonna banish 4 each. And then we open a hand that's honestly pretty decent. You know, just activate the skill, get rid of the kit, get me a Nerval, get the Nerval into the field, and then use the Tanky in order to get a Fractal. I already have a Fractal, but I just want to empty my deck a little. Fractal sends Kit sends Nerval. You know this combo line from 2020, I think this deck was playable in the TCG. Banish 4 in order to get the Shreg, which I'm going to use as a combo piece. Summon the Karas. At this stage I realize I kind of bombed myself because I summoned it in the middle column, which means I can't use the Karas effect to link summon a monster. Also I don't have any things in a graveyard, so it doesn't work anyway. Gonna go for the Ferrigid here. Ferrigid is going to summon the Fractal. Fractal is going to banish 2 in order to summon the double dragon. At this stage, I'm also going to be able to put the Fractal and the Shreg together into a Bearbrum. I love the rolling the odds with this archetype. I'm not sure why. I'm going to get another Fractal and then put Bearbrum and Ferrigit into a tree. which will allow me to cycle for a card, search for revolt. I'm thinking maybe there's something that I want more in my hand than a fractal. So I'm going to get the bloom for sure, and then I'm going to get the revolt and put a fractal on bottom. Oh, look, it's a tanky. I don't need that. Set to pass. So that's pretty much the optimal turn 1 for Tri-Brigade. You do want to have a double Dragon Lord. Tanky gives you a free card to send with the double Dragon Lord to bounce anything. This is a big fucko. Maybe I should have summoned it here. This is a big tree. It's a kind of a cool tree. This is the revolt that is going to be able to summon any monster, any number of materials. Even if I had not gone through the process of summoning the Bear Brum and the Ferretit without using the Tri-Brigade effect, I would have been able to use the revolt to summon these two, or a Rugal and a Nerval, or like a Rugal and a Shreg, in order to summon another Shreg, which is actually really powerful. That's a really strong combo, in my opinion. And then, you know, that's an Omni, that's skill drain. That's pretty cool. My opponent is going to activate Chaos Greed, you leveraging the power of the skill to draw 2 cards and activate Power of Duality. At this point, I recognize that they are on the Dogmatika version, which doesn't really play Tri-Brigade card except for the Nerval revolt that they can dig through. They're going to activate the Nadia 7 in order to send LD Entity Natis, which is going to put the revolt, which means I have to activate the revolt kind of early. Kind of not really a fan of that. You know, I'm just gonna bring these two. I'm thinking I want to cycle that DD Crow away, because it's not gonna be useful, you know, in that scenario. Maybe I should have summoned Rugal and Shreg just to get an additional I'm thinking cycling is more important. Sorobus might come up. Sorobus is actually a good card. They're going to summon the Ecclesia. I'm going to flip Scale Drain, which means the Ecclesia doesn't go up. They're going to set 3. We know one card. Do we know that one card is a Volcanic Shell? No, we've seen it, but we don't know that. We don't know the cards in hand. I'm going to try and activate the Big Tree in order to pop up to 4 cards, but they have the Divine Wrath for it. That fortunately it doesn't destroy it, but does allow the Shrek to search for a DD Crow. I'm going to Nerval and try to go for another Shrek, but they have a second Divine Wrath, which is going to be kind of an issue. At this stage, I can still get a thingy with the Nerval. I'm going to go battle, because what else am I going to do? This is going to kill the Dogmatika Ecclesia, which is able to get destroyed by a monster summoned from the extra deck because it was negated by the bloom. My opponent in end phase is going to flip the revolt, summoning Shreg, Rugal, and the Ferretit in order to go into a Shreg of their own. And the first Shreg is going to search something, probably a DD Crow, because the deck doesn't actually play Tri-Brigade cards. I'm going to get to do a bunch of stuff, but the double Dragon Lord is going to return this Shreg to the extra deck, and they're still going to be able to remove it from the game. At this point, I'm thinking maybe I can outpace them, maybe I cannot grind them. All they have in hand is a DD Crow, but I have to be careful about this set card. I'm going to summon the Fractal here, which I think was a mistake. Maybe I should have put it there. Maybe I should have put it in this middle column so that it could have given its attack to the big tree through the bloom. I'm going to try and get something going. Summon a Ferretit. At this point, I'm thinking the only way that I win this game, because my extra deck is out of Shregs, is by getting to my copies of Not Forbidden Droplet DDR, which is going to be able to resummon another Shreg from the Banished, which would be great for me. I'm going to activate the Sunavalant Big Tree effect to pop. My opponent was a bit careless and waited a bit too long to activate the Revolt. They can still summon another Shreg, but it is not actually going to do anything here because it will be destroyed by the Big Tree's effect before it can activate. So it hits the field and it immediately goes. I'm going to get to cycle with the thing here, so that's cool. And this is why putting a Fractal here would have been good, because I missed lethal by not doing so. I could have attacked with Fractal and then attacked with this and would have gained 1900, which was just perfect for the perfect amount of lethal. So I'm going to try and get rid of the Tri-Brigade cards in my deck that don't really do anything anymore. Set the Droplet past. I can't really do anything. Look, I drew the Dimension Distortion. Uh-oh! Looks like the card that I put to get a benefit immediately is going to come bite me back in the ass. My opponent is going to go for yet another Revolt. How are they so good? They just keep drawing all the good cards in their deck, and I just keep drawing this card that doesn't do anything past turn 1, which is, I guess, kind of a weakness of the deck. They're going to go for another Revolt. which will summon another Shrek. I have the Forbidden Droplet. I'm thinking, you know what, I can pitch this thing, it doesn't really matter. They're going to go for the Dogmatika punishment. I'm going to go for the Sorobus to protect my big tree. I'm going to negate the Shrek. Unfortunately, I can't really do much else, so I just have to hope that I will eventually draw the DDR. My opponent's going to activate another part of duality, getting a Dogmatika Flutter hit, which it can summon because of the part of duality restriction. They're going to attack directly for 3,000. Hopefully this draws the good. Nope, it's another Dimension Distortion. I don't often showcase duels in which I lose, but I thought that was an interesting, very interesting duel with a lot of like key moments of misplays on both sides. And I really wanted to showcase this version of the deck that I can't build because I don't have the Nadir Servants or the Enter Entitynesses, and I'm not going to dig into a selection box to get them. But it's still a really interesting deck, and I'm still glad to have showcased it. So that's the new Tri-Brigade. It is still a pretty fun deck to play with a decently high ceiling. There's still a lot of ways to easily trip and mess up your combos. It is now more consistent than ever. I do appreciate that there's some outplay potential going first or second, depending on whether you want to favor using Dimension Distortion or Chaos Greed in order to get an advantage for the course of the duel as early as your first turn, or whether you want to play 3 Revolts in order to keep getting more resources onto the field. This is definitely not something that Konami had intended. All they thought was people were going to use the skill to play Revolts, and they're just going to play the Revolts, and that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And this is what I found really funny is Konami's, you know, complete lack of foresight, and the fact that they didn't once consider that we already had a deck that would use Dimension Distortion, DDR to an extent, and Chaos Greed in order to benefit from skills that just give you free banish stuff. And they're doing it again. It's not game breaking, it's not the end of the world, but I think it definitely shows that Konami is past the point of caring or even testing the stuff that they do for Duel Links. Whether you agree or not, that's all a topic. Obviously, nobody knows what the game design intern working at Konami was thinking when they created the Tri-Brigade trigger skill. But, I mean, come on. But what do you think about this deck? Let me know in the comments if you'd rather be playing the version that tries to exploit the banish stuff or the version that tries to play as many revolts as possible. I saw that was a version that was aiming to go for IP Masquerena into Topologic Bomber Dragon, which is a really cool combo to use with revolts. But IP Masquerena is a selection box exclusive, and I'm not spending money on that. I'm not spending money on this. If you like this video, make sure to like it. Comment something nice about Tri-Brigade. Which is your favorite Tri-Brigade member? Mine has always been Nerval, always going to be Nerval. It's a 1-for-1 target. It's a cute little bird thing. I absolutely love it. If you'd like to support me further, you can check out my Ko-fi in the video description, where you can make a one-time donation or a monthly pledge. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my Ko-fi donators in the form of Dingust, Outdish Boy 0, Jimmy, Zinnia, Yannick, Sile, Mark Lu, Fortuno16. Oh no, I'm having a headache. I can't remember. The Abyss Actor, Guru, Old Price, and Nexus. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for watching once again. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all next time.